That. Alright. Now, show Ethan. Kenneth, you have to show Ethan. There's Ethan. Alright. Alright, Kaylee. And then there's Becky. Alright, cool. What? Oh gosh. Of course I can't work this now all of a sudden. Alright. Okay. It's a pretty certain thing that you'll go through kindergarten and then eventually graduate from 12th grade. After that, it gets a little bit more tricky. Community college, university, a smaller private school, and who's going to pay for this? Do I qualify for financial aid? Are my parents going to help me? Am I going to have to get loans? Wouldn't it be nice to not have to worry about where the money was going to come from? What if public higher education was free? Public higher education shouldn't be a burden for the student, it should be paid for by the government. The government is spending more on current higher education expenses than what it would cost to offer free tuition. And with more highly skilled workers, we could strengthen our economy. According to Susan Meisenhelder, a professor at California State University, San Bernardino, in 2009 to 2010, the average cost of tuition was $14,870 for four-year public institutions and $7,629 for two-year public colleges. When you take the number of students in each segment and multiply that by the average total cost, it equals out to be $127 billion for free public higher education. Meisenhelder also reports that in the same year, the federal government spent $35 billion on Pell Grants and $104 billion on student loans, with states spending at least $10 billion on financial aid for universities and colleges and another $80 billion for direct support of higher education. This is a price tag of $229 billion. There's obviously a deficit there. In an article from The Atlantic written by Jordan Weissman, it was stated that since 1987, the State Higher Education Executive Officers Association reports that states have cut per student funding by 44%. Sorry. Lost me in place, sorry about that. In turn, the schools have raised tuition. The federal government has swooped in with more generous grants, tax breaks, and low-interest loans to compensate. Yet the availability of all that financial aid has allowed colleges to hike up tuition without worrying too much about enrollment, and has also paved the way for more state budget cuts. So we continue to go around and around. Another issue that has arisen from this also came up in the article written by Weissman, and it involves for-profit college industries. He states that as scarce classroom space at community colleges and open admission state colleges has filled up, students turn towards alternatives like Kaplan University and University of Phoenix, which charge tens of thousands of dollars for degrees with dubious job market value, and they get away with it because of federal aid. He called it the 10-25-50 problem. They educate around 10% of students who receive about a quarter of federal student aid and are responsible for about half of all loan defaults. They take up about $8.8 billion, or close to 25% of all Pell Grants. In the article, College for All, it stated that this nation's economy demands that workers possess increasing levels of knowledge, skills, and abilities that are best required through post-secondary education. In a recent study by Georgetown University's Center on Education and the Workforce, it was found that at current levels of production, the U.S. economy will have a shortfall of 5 million college-educated workers by 2020. By 2020, 65% of all jobs will require a bachelor's or associate's degree or some other education beyond high school, particularly focusing on science, technology, engineering, math, healthcare, or community service. Although the economy is demanding workers with increasing levels of education, the post-secondary educational rate has changed very little over the past decade, though other countries have made more significant gains in post-secondary educational attainment. Also in the College for All article, it was reported that adults in the U.S. between the ages of 55 to 64 are the third most educated among the 34 Organizations for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, countries that are competitors for future jobs. Young adults in the U.S. rank 10th in terms of their rate among OECD peers. As state investment in post-secondary education has fallen, and as tuition and student loan debt have increased, the current generation has not been able to keep up with the gains in post-secondary educational attainment achieved by many other countries. As older adults leave the workforce through retirement, U.S. economic performance will fall behind societies with higher levels of education. There has been one glimmer of hope in free tuition for public higher education, particularly community colleges. President Obama proposed a plan for free community college tuition, though some are concerned that it may just be an empty promise. According to an article on usnews.com, the plan, called America's College Promise, would cover students' tuition for qualifying community college programs so long as students maintain a 2.5 GPA. There are currently programs like this in Chicago and Tennessee, but they are only open to recent high school graduates, and according to Evelyn Wawaioli, director of the Center of Community College Student Engagement at the University of Texas, Austin, this is an important difference because the average age of a community college is 28, not 18 or 19. The proposal also only requires that requires that students attend part-time, which is also beneficial since 60% of students at two-year colleges are only enrolled part-time, according to the American Association of Community Colleges. America's College Promise would cover certificate programs as well as courses that lead to an associate's degree or could be transferred towards a bachelor's degree. It's too early to tell exactly how the proposal will play out. It's obvious that the government has the funds to pay for public higher education and that it's necessary for our economy to thrive. We can only hope that the legislation that is starting now will continue with presidents to come. Thank you.